Hello, everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of Lounging with Lo. I am your host, Lo, or as my friends call me that. I'm hoping you guys are my friends too, and we want to talk about today our very first um, TV show review. It's Castle, and here's a little bit of the theme song from Castle. Alright, so we have decided to go ahead and start with Castle. I want to give you guys a little bit about Castle here. So Castle is about a best-selling mystery novelist by the name of Richard Castle, as obviously. He teams up with the brilliant detective Kate Beckett to solve homicides in New York City. Castle brings his unconventional crime-solving skills, and Beckett brings her no-nonsense approach to the table. Together, they make an unlikely but compelling crime-fighting duo. So on today's podcast, we're talking about the characters and the actors and actresses that play them. So the very first one that we're going to talk about first is our good friend, Richard Castle. Now, Richard Castle is obviously played by the wonderful Nathan Fillion. Nathan Fillion has turned the film industry wide open with the 1998's memorable role, Minnesota Ryan, from Steven Spielberg's Saving Private Ryan. Now, the main actors that are in that is Tom Hanks and Matt Dillon. He also appeared in 3 seasons of Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place. In 2002, for all my sci-fi fans out there, he was the lead in the Joss Whedon sci-fi series Firefly. And obviously, as all my Firefly people probably know, it only lasted for a season, but it is a classic for all sci-fi fans. He then followed it with the movie version of Firefly called Serenity. He also played in other roles such as Much Ado About Nothing, Percy Jackson's Sea of Monsters, Guardians of the Galaxy, and other voiceover roles. That is including a character from Disney's Monsters University. So after Castle ended, unfortunately, he went on to star in The Suicide Squad, which is the newer version of it. It's not the one with Margot Robbie, Jared Leto, and Will Smith, unfortunately. He also starred in Resident Alien, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and in 2018 he landed a role in The Rookie, which is on ABC. It's also on television as well, and they also stream the next day on Hulu if you ever want to watch that. I've never seen it. I've seen the trailer for it. It looks really interesting. But Richard Castle, when we first meet him, he's a best-selling mystery writer. He just finished his series doing a highly popular Derek Storm mystery novels. So he struggled to find inspiration for his next book until he was asked to consult with NYPD, or New York Police Department detective, homicide detective, I should say, Kate Beckett, who was investigating a series of murders similar to the murders in his book. So obviously, after Castle helped Beckett solve the case, the mayor insisted that the two continue to work on future cases. And we'll get to that here in just a few seconds here. So there's other things that I don't want to get into yet because it's going to be later on in the season 1. I don't want to get too far ahead. So the next person we're going to talk about here is Kate Beckett. She is played by Stana Katic. Kate Beckett dreamed of a career in law, but something unfortunate happened in her life, so that's why she decided to join the New York Police Department when she became the homicide detective. So the personal loss of this individual drove her to seek justice for every case she takes on. So when Richard Castle was given permission to consult on her investigations, obviously she voiced her opposition, but didn't admit that she was really a fan. So, Stana Katic is a Canadian-born actress. She had very small roles of hit shows earlier in her career, including Alias, 24, ER, and Heroes. She had a small but pivotal role in the James Bond film Quantum of Solace back in 2008, and she turned heads later on when she was asked to be in the film The Spirit, which is based off from a comic book. She's also part of Possession of Hannah Grace and Absentia. She provided voices for Batman Arkham City. She was Talia al Ghul, who is Ra's al Ghul's daughter. Justice Society, World War II, and the voice of Lois Lane in Superman Unbound. So let's move on to Richard Castle's family. So Richard Castle has a daughter, and her name is Alexis Castle. Alexis is played by Molly C. Quinn, and Alexis is obviously his only child. She's a very smart, strong-willed young woman who is often more mature than her dad. And while Castle insists he never has to worry about her making a bad decision, he still worries about her, as all fathers do, especially in matters of the heart. So there's your tender moments there. Molly C. Quinn has had her very first major on-screen role in 2007's Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story. It's a parody. I believe it's about Johnny Cash, if I remember that correctly. She's also had a number of voiceover roles, including Supergirl and Superman Unbound, and she's also appeared in Doctor Sleep and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So the other person in the Castle family is Martha Rogers. Martha Rogers is played by Susan Sullivan. And Martha Rogers is Richard's mother, of course. She was a stage actress in her youth, and although she continues to act, she finds her roles more and more limited. She lives with Richard and Alexis in his loft apartment, which gives her plenty of opportunities to interfere with her personal life, as all mothers and parents do. But she's also on hand to give Richard some life advice when he needs it. So that's a good mom right there, I think. So Susan Sullivan was a stage actress who rose to fame when she moved to television. She appeared as Lenore on Another World in the 70s. And she was also Maggie in Falcon Crest for over 200 episodes in the 80s. She has a very extensive career in film and television, which included roles in My Best Friend's Wedding, Dharma and Greg, and The Incredible Hulk. And I believe The Incredible Hulk, if I remember correctly, it should be the one with Eric Bana in there, if I remember that correctly. If it's incorrect, I'll post it on my Facebook page. And speaking of Facebook page, come like and follow my page, Lounging with Lo. It's there ready for you guys to. My link for the podcast is there as well. So now we're going to talk about the NYPD, or the New York Police Department. So we did talk about Kate Beckett. Like I said, she's one of the homicide detectives. So let's talk about her co-workers. So we're going to talk about Javier Esposito. And you will probably hear him referred to as Javi, Javier, Espo, or Esposito. He's played by John Huertas. Javi is a homicide detective in the New York City Police Department 12th Precinct. He and his partner Kevin Ryan, who we're going to talk about here later, they are like brothers. And both of them are very good friends with Castle and Beckett. They often work cases together. Javier was a former member of the Army Special Forces, and he served in Iraq at that time, or his character did. So then after he served in the war, he joined the New York Police Department. John Huertas had his first credited role in a 1995 episode of Beverly Hills 90210. He was also in The Shield and Sabrina the Teenage Witch. He's most recently appeared as Miguel on the NBC hit series This Is Us, which was mind-blowing to see him as an old man, but he did very well in that role. When he played the old man portion of that type of those stories there. And he was reunited with Nathan Fillion on an episode for The Rookie. So good for John. So let's go and talk about Kevin Ryan. He's played by Seamus Dever. So Kevin is a detective in the 12th Precinct as well at the police department. And he and his partner Javier are very close, and he's, again, good friends with Beckett and Castle. So although he seems more naive and less experienced than the other detectives, he has a secret that not even Javier knows about. And I'm not going to spoil that secret because that's going to get on later on in the season of Castle when we talk about it. Sorry, guys. You just have to listen to my podcast later to figure out what that secret is. So, let's talk about Seamus Dever for just a quick second here. So, Seamus appeared in 45 episodes of General Hospital in 2008 as Dr. Ian Devlin. His other TV credits were Waco, The Aftermath, the DC live-action series Titans, Hunters, the Marvel series Legion, and the original CSI, or Criminal Scene Investigation. He's also appeared in the film Hollywoodland and voiced a character in the video game hit Far Cry 5. So let's talk about the medical examiner Lainey Parrish. Lainey Parrish is played by Tamala Jones. Lainey Parrish is a medical examiner, as I mentioned, for New York City, and Kate Beckett's best friend. She's a big fan of Castle's books and immediately sees something between Castle and Beckett, or in their first name basis, Richard and Kate. So obviously she encourages Beckett to have a little bit of fun. He seems to be a very fun person. She's not used to having some fun. But obviously Kate's a little bit resistant because Kate is Kate. And we'll get to that portion of that here later on in the podcast as well. But like I said, stay tuned for those as well. So Tamala Jones has appeared in Blue Streak, The Ladies' Man, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, ER, The Tracy Morgan Show, and 911 Lone Star. Now, I don't know if you guys know this, but I guess you probably heard this in the news when Castle was there probably about a few years ago. So, just before the 8th season ended of Castle, it was announced that both Tamala Jones and Stana Katic were not asked to return for a potential 9th reason due to quote-unquote budget cuts. But, however, unfortunately, guys, I'm very sorry to say this is very sad news for all Castle fans. The series was later canceled by ABC and was no longer renewed, unfortunately. So that's a bummer. So let's talk about the captain. The captain's name is Roy Montgomery. He's played by Ruben Santiago Hudson. Now, Captain Montgomery was the supervising officer at the 12th Precinct, and he is also the boss of Beckett, Esposito, and Ryan. He was hugely supportive of his officers, and also supportive of Richard Castle working with Beckett on the cases because the mayor asked him personally. So we're not going to get into any more of his character until we get towards the season 3 of Castle, and we'll kind of get to that here in just a few minutes. Get that later on, later on in the podcast here. There are lots of things, so obviously we need to learn more about Kevin Ryan's past and Roy Montgomery. So like I said, we'll learn about those guys later on. And then there's something, we'll talk about more about Lainey and Javier as well. But like I said, I don't want to spoil too much. This is something that you guys gotta watch. But let's talk about Ruben. Ruben Santiago Hudson is a Tony Award-winning actor with an extensive career on the stage. He also was filmed in The Devil's Advocate, Shaft, American Gangster, and Selma. His TV credits were Law and Order, East New York's and The Quad, Public Morals, and Lackawanna Blues, which was a TV movie that earned him an Emmy nomination as a producer for the Outstanding Television Movie. There are some other characters here that we're going to talk about, but again, they are more in the later seasons. So, guys, I'm going to kind of give you a little bit of a clip here of, obviously this is in episode 6, but I want to kind of give you guys an idea of what Castle and Beckett's relationship is when they come to a crime scene. So, here it is. Here's the clip. And I want you guys to have enjoyment.
My first ex-wife, Meredith, Alexis's mom, and she's thinking about moving back to New York. Do you know what that would mean to me? That would be a very special brand of hell. The hell of a deep-fried Twinkie.
A deep-fried Twinkie?
Yeah, the guilty pleasure that you know is bad for you, so you only do it once, maybe twice a year for the novelty, but a deep-fried Twinkie every day is...
Castle.
What?
Crime scene. Dead body. A little respect here.
I don't think you can hear me.
Okay, how about a little self-respect then?
Fine.
Don't you just love how Becca tries to pull him in after he has his little weird theories or his weird banters? Well, guys, that's all the time that we have for today. But tune in next time because we are going to talk about the very first episode called Flowers for Your Grave. I'm going to give you guys plenty of time to watch that. Again, it's on Hulu if you want to watch Flowers for Your Grave. It's going to be an amazing episode and it's going to be an amazing podcast we're going to talk about next time. So please, please, please do not miss out on listening to the episode of Flowers for Your Grave from Castle. That's all the time that we have for today. I want to thank you guys for joining me today, and let's lounge together.